If you've been following my channel, you know that I build passive income websites without doing link building. So that's a little different from what most other people teach about this. In a second, I'm going to log into Google Analytics and I'm going to show you the domains so you can check them for yourself. I'm going to show you the exact numbers and how many page views they get. When you're not building links to your websites, you're probably delaying the rankings in Google for 1 to 2 months. But think about this for a while. It takes so much time to build these links, so you have much more time to build more awesome content. And it's much more fun, if you ask me, to focus on great content instead of creating all these links that's just going to give you an artificial bump in Google. So by not building links to your site, you're removing a lot of the risk involved with building these sites, because you're staying away from all these shady tactics that Google asks you not to do. So you're not in any danger of getting hammered by Google anytime soon. And also, if you follow the step-by-step process that I'm going to lay out in this video, I'll show you exactly how to rank these first articles on this brand new site when you have no authority in Google, no links yet pointing to your site. And as you start getting these rankings for the first articles, you will get links organically. And then it's time to go for the more competitive stuff without you having to go out and ask and beg or pay for links. This is one of the websites I started recently. I bought the domain on November 27th, 2018, so it's exactly 17 months old right now. It's sitting at around 100 articles, I think it's 102 articles. And right now, over the last 30 days, it had 70,000 page views. So it's doing quite alright. Let's just take a look at the latest article here so you can see a bit about how it's laid out. I have the table of content up here. Then I'm just really trying to write the best possible article. If we look into analytics, you can see here that there are 8 active users right now, 58,000 users. And if we go into page views, you'll see that it had around 73,000 page views over the last 30 days. If we look up the domain inside Ahrefs, this is one of the keyword tools where you can see how many sites are linking to your website. You can see that it has around 200 referring domains. So I only built 2 of these links. I just placed the link on my other site, Go Downsize, because I was writing an article about if you can bring a dog in your RV, I think it was. So I didn't go out actively and ask other people to link to the site, but I did place 1 or 2 links, I should say. But that's nothing when we're talking link building. This is another website that I started exactly 1.5 years ago, and it's sitting at around 40 articles right now, but only 30 of these articles had time to rank. The last 10 articles are only like a few weeks old. And this website is sitting at around 55,000 page views over the last 30 days. So it's also doing pretty well, and it's still rising a bit. So these were 2 pretty new websites. I also want to show you one of my more established websites. Go Downsize here is a site I started together with my wife, I think 6 or 7 years ago. So it's about RVing, boating, tiny houses, lifestyle, and a lot of things today. We really developed this site to become a pretty big site that writes about a lot of things. And if we look into analytics here, you can see that the site is still growing month after month, and it's around 276,000 page views now. So it'll quickly hit 300,000 page views. I'm really excited about that. That's really awesome. So I just wanted to show you that for a bigger website like this, I'm still using this same technique for many of the articles here. If we scroll down a bit here, I think, yeah, definitely these articles here are topics that I found using the same technique that I'm showing in this video. So it's not only for underserved topics, it's not only for the first couple of topics that we write before we have any backlinks or any authority, in Google. You can definitely use these techniques as well as the website grows bigger. As I told you, this bigger website here is like 6 or 7 years old, so I did do a little bit of link building when I launched the site back in the days. I simply don't think it was possible back then to build a website from scratch without doing any link building. But for the 2 other websites that I started within the last year or 2, I did absolutely no link building, no SEO tactics or anything like that. I just put good content on the site, and I used the exact same techniques that I'm going to show you in this video when I was finding these topics. So I'm going to show you exactly how you can do the same. I believe it's really important to go for a clean strategy today, to remove as much risk as possible, because you're putting so much hard work into these websites because you want to build something awesome for your audience, and then you don't want to get hammered the next day by Google. So I have 3 different tactics, or actually I have more, but in this video I have 3 different tactics for you on how to find these topics that you can rank for without a ton of links. And you don't need anything else than what I show you in this video in order to get going with a brand new domain on a brand new site. The first technique that I want to show you, and it's also the one that I'm using the most personally, is what we call Google Autocomplete. So as soon as you start typing anything into Google, it will suggest or really predict what you're going to write in order to finish that sentence. Google tells us that this is not suggestions, it's predictions. That means that Google bases this on the data they have about what people are typing in. So they put it like this: it's our best predictions of the query you are likely to continue entering. When you think about that, it's a perfect peek into the Google engine. Google is letting us know here what other people are typing into Google. It's fantastic data because you will see the most searched phrases at the top typically. Google also says that mobile users are more likely to click on these suggestions instead of keep typing with these thumbs, you know. It's not too easy to type on a mobile screen with 2 thumbs. And every day they say they are saving people 200 years of typing time by using this auto-suggest feature. That's crazy. But let's get started. I want to show you now how I do this. And please stay with me all the way to the end of this video, because there are some pitfalls and ways you can mess this up. But I need to show you the process before I can show you and explain to you how to avoid these pitfalls. Alright, let's get to it. Time to do some topic research. You've probably seen it a ton of times. As soon as you start typing something here in Google, you'll start seeing 10 suggestions down here. So it's an old feature really that Google launched back in 2004, and in 2008 Google rolled it out to all of the Google search engine. It's also being used by Facebook and Amazon and Twitter today. And one of the reasons I like autocomplete is that it lets me find new topic ideas that might not have been written before. Many other tactics that niche and site courses are focusing on are analyzing what other sites are ranking for, like finding a site of your own size or smaller, and then you'll start writing better articles on the same topics that they rank for. That's not a bad strategy, I just like this one better. And now I'm going to show you the basic way to use this strategy. And first you need to log out of Google, because if you're not logged out of Google, it will show you a lot of suggestions based on your own search history. And that's not what we want. We want Google to show us suggestions and predictions for what other people are searching for, right? And then you should also use your browser in incognito mode. And the last thing to check here is if you're using Google outside of the US, you need to use a VPN, but that's something I'm coming back to later in this video. For now, let's just get started and do some research here. We're going to look into the bowling niche, and we're going to look for underserved topics, something you can rank for with a brand new website on a brand new URL. So let's try to start typing something in here. It's a good idea to start with a question like is, can, how, and so on. Let's start with is. We just type is bowling, and then let's see what Google is coming up with here. Is bowling a sport, an Olympic sport, a good date? And pay attention to the ones at the top here. The ones at the top will have more searches than the ones at the bottom. We'll also get back to that. I'm assuming a topic like is bowling a sport will have a ton of articles. Let's just pull that up here. So whenever we want to check one of these topics before we add them to our to-do list that we will write on later, we want to check it by Googling it here. So see, is bowling a sport or a game? Bowlingball.com. So it seems like somebody wrote this article already. Let's see how they did. So that seems like an alright article. We could probably beat this if our website was a little bit more established. But for the very first articles on a new site, we want to write articles that hasn't been written like at all. If you find a topic that hasn't really been written without typing anything else than just the question, is bowling, you have a really good niche, because typically all of these will be taken. So what we will do then is to type in the letter A. It's just the first letter of the alphabet. Afterward we'll do B and C and D and so on. So now as I'm typing the letter A here, we start getting some suggestions here. For example, is bowling a dying sport? Let's check that one out. So I'm gonna open that again in a new tab here. We can see here that we find USA Today here. Is bowling in its final frames or will it roll on? So that's pretty much on point. USA Today, when you see any website that you know here, you should definitely stay away. If it's a website you have heard about, it's definitely a big one. And pulling up the article here, you can also see that it's actually quite extensive. So you definitely don't want to write this article. This is a prime example of a topic to stay away from. Let's get back on track here. If you scroll down a little further, we see Reddit and Quora. So that's pretty cool, because Quora and Reddit, if you don't know these sites, it's user-generated content. Anybody can ask a question or just put anything up there, and anybody can chime in and write whatever they want. So that's user-generated content, and that's something we can always beat with a good article. So if we didn't find USA Today up here, we should totally go for this. So this is a good sign so far that we see these at the top of Google for one of the searches. Let's keep digging here with the letter A. Is bowling a good date? Is bowling an American sport? That's kind of interesting too. Let's see what comes up here. So here we have a short history of bowling. It doesn't say anything about in the title whether it's an American sport or not. Bowling Wikipedia, bowling museum, history of bowling. Alright, that's pretty awesome. It seems like nobody is targeting whether bowling is an American sport. So this is definitely a keeper. Put that on your list of topics because now we have the first winner here. So let's go back here to the letter A. Is bowling a real sport? That's also interesting. Let's try and pull up that one. Let's see what happens here. So now we have bowlingball.com. Is bowling a sport or a game? That's pretty spot on. Bowling is a sport. Is bowling a sport? So this is probably a forum, is a debate or something like that. And then we have Quora again. That's pretty awesome. But it seems like it has already been written by bowlingball.com. I have a feeling we're going to see this site again. Is bowling a sport or a game? So, alright. Let's stay away from this one. At least now that we're working with a brand new website. Let's move on here to the letter B. Is bowling bad for your back? Is bowling bad for pregnancy? Bad while pregnant? During pregnancy? So something like this. Is bowling bad for pregnancy? All this pregnancy related stuff. That's way into what we call YMYL, your money, your life. If you don't know what YMYL stands for, check out the video that I linked to in the cards up here. It's whenever we're writing on something that impact people's health, their financial situation and stuff like that. These topics are way harder to rank for, and you'll not stand a chance with a brand new website, so definitely stay away from these. Let's see if we can find something else here. Is bowling bad for baseball players? Let's see what comes up here. Let's see what the first one here is. It seems to be a forum, so that's awesome. We can always beat user-generated content. Let's take a look at number 2 here. That's also a forum. This is awesome because people are discussing it and nobody took the time to write a proper article about it. And then we have Yahoo Answers and Reddit and another forum. That's awesome. That's definitely a keeper too. You also want to write this article. Is bowling bad for baseball players? And just dig into anything you can find and what people are discussing in these forums and so on. Now we have 2 winners. Let's go back and see if we can find some more here. Let's try the letter C. Is bowling considered a sport? Is it coming back? Alright, let's check this one. LA owners say bowling is coming back. Bowling alone, not anymore. How bowling LA made. That's from Bloomberg. Wow. Is bowling in its final frames or will it roll on from USA Today? So this is definitely not a topic to go for, as we see USA Today and Bloomberg, and they are pretty much on topic. They're writing about exactly that, if bowling is coming back. So stay away from this topic. Let's try the letter D. Is bowling dangerous? So this is also YMYL, as we talked about before. Whenever it's about health, danger and financial stuff, stay away from it. Is bowling difficult? Let's check that one out. 11 reasons bowling could never be a sport. That's not about that. Is bowling an easy or difficult sport? So now we have bowling ball again. Let's see what they did here. That's also an article. It's not too long though. If our website was a little bit more established, we could definitely beat this. It's a very short article. It's only like, let's see. It's only 300 words. So I would not go for this for the very first articles on the site, but as you're starting to see a little bit of traffic, you could definitely write this. You could probably win it if you really wanted to go into it. So the extension I'm using here to see the word count is this one called Word Counter Plus. You just mark the text you want to count, click this one, and you'll see the word count up here. And I'll say anything less than 800 words is something we can typically beat for a new site. But just to make sure that we're absolutely going to win the number 1 position here, we want to find topics now that nobody wrote on. Now that we've been doing this for a little while, we start noticing the other sites here, like this one, bowlingball.com. It came up quite a lot. And we know now how long the articles are, so the next time you bump into them here, you can just skip on to the next topic, because we'll have a much better chance of beating user-generated content like Reddit, Quora, Yahoo Answers, and whatever. And I'm really confident that we can find topics here because we already found a few. Let's try something else now. Let's just try typing in why bowling, and now we can try and put the marker here. And notice here that Google is not always just trying to finish your sentence. It's really just predicting what you're going to write. So for example here, it's putting in a little word in between here. Why is bowling a sport? Why hook a bowling ball? So you can get creative here and try to put the marker here before or in the middle or after and start typing A here. Now you'll have a complete new set of suggestions. But let's take a look at the first one here. Why bowling shoes? So that's pretty broad. Here we see Quora at the top, and we see live about. Do you have to wear bowling shoes? That's probably what people are asking about if they're typing in why bowling shoes. So let's see what this is. Why do we have to wear bowling shoes? Okay, that's a pretty legit article. So I'd also stay away from this if it's a brand new website. But again, if our website was a little bit more established, let's say you just had like a few thousand page views per month, you're starting to pick up a little bit of traffic, we could definitely go for this because we see Quora at the top, that's user-generated content. Then we had this short article, then we have Reddit, we know we can beat that. Why are bowling shoes slippery? That's something else entirely. So you could go for this, but not for the first 10 or 15 articles. Let's go back here to these two words. Why bowling is not a sport. It's good for you. Why bowling balls crack? Let's try this one. That's an interesting too. The first one here. Why do bowling balls crack? Let's see what that is. Bingo! Here's another forum. That's definitely something we can beat. That's awesome. Let's see what else we have here. We have bowling ball again. How to prevent a bowling ball from cracking. That's a very short article. How short is that? That's only 600 words. Yeah, we could go for this if we wanted to. And then we have a forum here. We don't need to click it. When it's laid out like this with these links here, you know it's a forum. You can also see it here, show thread. Then we have this site. It's a forum again. So it's mostly forums and user-generated content, and then we have one pretty short article. We could definitely mingle up here at the top of the page. So you could write it if you wanted to. I'm pretty sure you'll get some decent amount of traffic because I think a lot of people would be searching for why bowling balls crack, how they crack, how fast they crack, what type of bowling balls will not crack. You know, there's a ton of content you can write up around this topic. Now let's try adding a letter here. Let's try with the letter A. Why bowling action banned? Why are bowling shoes necessary? Why are they slippery? Let's try this one. Alright, why are bowling shoes slippery? Let's check the first one here. I don't know this website, but it seems like this is also an article. So most of the content here is pretty short. I really love that because we can definitely beat this as our website gets a little bigger. I mean, how long is this? This is definitely not a long article either. It's only 895 words. So the shortest articles I write are typically, or I should say my writers write, are typically around 1,300 or 1,500 words. Sometimes I'll write 1,000 words if it's a teeny tiny question and there's not much to answer at all, and I think it will actually generate some traffic anyway. But mostly I'd say 90% of the time we won't write an article that's less than 1,500 words. So that's almost double the word count of this one, so we could probably beat this one. And then after this one we have Quora again. That's awesome. We have bowling ball again. We have live about. Why do we have to wear bowling shoes? That's something else entirely. So we could probably get some good traffic here if we were on point with the article. Let's try the letter B now. Why bowling balls crack? There we have it again. Why bowling balls hook? What is a bowling ball? Why urethane bowling balls? Let's try that one. That seems pretty specific and also something we can write a lot about, like different materials for bowling balls and so on. So notice here how the first article here is not about why bowling balls are made of urethane. It's just showing you top 6 urethane bowling balls. So it's not on point. The next one here, do you have a urethane ball in your bag? That has nothing to do with why. The resurgence of urethane bowling balls, best bowling balls. So this is also totally a winner. I would also write this article because it seems like nobody was right on point here, and I'm sure a lot of people are searching this because it's probably one of the main materials that you use to make bowling balls. So I'd say write this one as well. We have another winner here. So you'll just continue down this road, just adding letter after letter and dig deep into this. And now I have shown you how to start with the word is and why, and you can also continue with the word do, can, should, will, and just other question words. Start out with that and then add the word bowling or other words in relation to bowling. And that's it. It doesn't have to get any more complicated than that. We're just using Google. We're not paying for any complicated keyword tools here. We're just asking Google what other users are searching, and that will give us the best suggestions for writing articles for a new website. So maybe you're wondering right now why I'm not suggesting that you use tools for this. There are tools that can scrape all these predictions or suggestions from Google, like Ubersuggest or Answer the Public. But the thing is that these tools will just give you a really long list of data that's not sorted in any way. And the thing is with these suggestions or predictions that the ones at the top are more searched than the ones at the bottom. Let me show you a quick example here. If I type in the letter paper here in Google, it will come with these 10 suggestions. If I take these and I pop them into Google Trends, I will see them compared here and I'll see which one is searched the most. So the thing is I can only pop in 5 at the time here. I can't compare more than 5 search terms. So I just took some from the top, some from the middle and some from the bottom. And you'll see here that the one at the top had the most searches. And then we have a spike here, and that's the word paper airplane. And right now as I'm filming this, we're in the middle of the coronavirus, so that's probably why this one is trending right now, and Google haven't moved it up to the top for some reason. But you see a clear trend here. The ones at the top has more searches and the one toward the bottom has less searches. And I haven't seen any tool that takes this into account, by weighing them from 1 to 10 and attributing a number or something like that. So in order to know which searches you see at the top in the list of the auto suggestions, you need to do it manually, and I have found this to be way more effective. The next technique I want to share with you is using this people also ask box that we find in the middle of the search result page. So it's not showing up for all searches, and it's also not showing up in all countries and regions. That's one of the things I'm coming back to on how you can target only US searches. But the way Google phrase these sentences here are just great, because many times it'll be like a question or something you can just copy and paste and use as a title or a subheading inside your article. So that makes it really, really easy for beginners because you don't have to change it into a clever title. Let's try this out with the bowling news again. This is fun. Let's type in the word bowling here and see if the box pops up. Okay, so we have the box here. Many times we will not see this people also ask box for very, very broad searches. But this is great because when we're targeting a really broad search like just the word bowling, we also know that we have a lot of eyeballs for these questions here. If you were to type in a really long cryptic question, you would definitely also have a lot less searches for these questions you find here. So start with the really broad ones and see if you can find questions and topics here that hasn't been answered really well by the other websites. And in the beginning, of course, we still want to go for topics that has not been answered at all, if possible. In some niches, it's not possible to find any topic that hasn't been written on. In that case, you just go for content where the articles sitting there are just around 500 words. But really, you should keep digging because most of the time you'll be able to find topics where nobody has written about it. You just need to keep digging. And a cool feature here, when you're working with this box here, if you click out here, notice how we now add more questions toward the bottom here. We now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And when I open and close one, we just added 3 more. You can't continue popping up new questions here forever, but many times you can get it to 100 or something like that. And also the questions here will be more and more what we call long tail. They'll probably have less and less searches. So try to stick to the questions at the top if possible. But again, for a brand new website, just find questions and topics here that hasn't been written about at all. It doesn't matter if it's toward the bottom of this list. As long as it hasn't been written on, that's the most important part when we're finding topics for a new website. The next technique I want you to use is to scroll all the way down to the bottom of the search result page, where you find this section called searches related to. And many times the predictions or the phrases you find down here will be the same as you will find if you start typing something into Google, you know, the autocomplete thing. But sometimes it's not. Sometimes you find really good gold nuggets here that you want to use for a title or a subheading. This often works well if you start with a pretty broad question. So we can let Google suggest some questions here, like we did before. Is bowling, let's try this one, a sport? So we cannot write this article because the competition here is way too high. But we can take a look down here. Is bowling a sport in the Olympics? A professional sport, a sport for everyone, exercise. Let's try the next one here. Do bowling shoes make a difference, for example? Best bowling shoes, right-handed bowling shoes, that might be a good one. Performance bowling shoes, why do bowling shoes have different soles? How should bowling shoes fit? Now all of a sudden we get a lot of ideas here. Bowling shoes with arch support. I'm sure you can find some good topics here that you can write a decent article on that will also get you a lot of traffic. There's a reason why I didn't start out by showing you this method, because it's not where you find the best topics typically. But many times you'll find good ideas for subheadings here. You know, the perfect H2. Let's say you were writing an article about best bowling shoes. Now you had some authority and you're ready to compete for one of these searches. Then you would need a really good article, and maybe you should dig into some of this stuff here, like how should bowling shoes fit, bowling shoes with arch support. It's just a way to make your content longer without adding fluff, where you're still adding a ton of value to the reader. You know, a lot of people are having problems with arch support. And also questions about the soles and stuff inside these shoes. There's so many things you can dig into here when you start going down these rabbit holes, and you can do a lot of similar searches here and see what comes up here at the bottom. By now you might also be thinking about search volume. If you use the keyword tools, you know that you'll get these numbers, so 1,000 people are searching for this and 5,000 people per month are searching for this. But for phrases like this, typically you'll find that it's 0 or a few hundreds. So you might think, why even bother writing these articles, you know, if they're only going to get a little bit of traffic? But that's not how it works anymore. Sometimes I find some of these topics here and I'll get 5,000 searches per month. Let me give you a good example here. One article I wrote for one of my websites, sewingmachinetalk.com, I can show it to you right here. It's about sewing jokes. And when I looked into the keyword tools, Ahrefs told me that 250 people are searching for this per month. And when looking into Google's own tool, the Google Keyword Planner, it told me that 260 people are searching this per month. But I'm actually pulling in 900 visitors per month, and I've been doing so over 6 months now consistently. And I'm ranking number 3 or 4 for this search term, so I'm sure number 1 up there is getting more than 3,000 page views per month. So why is this? This is because that you get a lot of related traffic to this article. So, you know, some people will totally Google sewing jokes, but this article also ranks for a ton of other things like sewing puns, you know, funny memes about sewing, many other things. And it just goes to show that Google has become much better at showing the right article for the right search. This is what we call long tail traffic. So when you're ranking for a good topic or a good search phrase, you will also pull in traffic from all these related searches. And Google even tells us that 15 to 30% of all searches being made in Google on a daily basis are searches that they have never seen before. So there's new searches being made every day. So I mean, how could they even know the search volume if it has never been searched before? Let me show you how to figure out if the article is worth writing when you don't have the actual numbers. The best way to figure out if the topic is worth writing about and if you will get enough traffic to that article in case you wrote it is to think about it for a while. Is the topic something that you think people are actually concerned about? And also do the search in Google and see if something comes up in forums and Quora and Yahoo Answers, is this something that people are discussing online? Then it's definitely something you should write about if it doesn't have a good article sitting there at the top of Google already. But that's something we're coming back to when you need to check the competition. But that's really how you have to do it, because the keyword tools will do you no good. You know, they'll say that there's 0 or 100 searches for a long phrase, so it won't do you any good. You need to think more about topics than keywords. So the best way forward here is really to just Google it and see if people are talking about it. You don't need to think so much about keywords anymore. It's not about how many searches you find for this keyword or this phrase, because with these many long phrases, you know, and all these new searches being made every day, it's much more about getting the right topic and not the right keywords. That's also why I consistently call it topic research on this channel and not keyword research. Many people are still, you know, digging themselves down into keyword tools, and they're losing sight of all these great opportunities that I'm showing you how to find in this video, because they are so focused on these numbers for keywords. It's really important that you always check the competition before you start writing anything. Type in the title that you want to write and hit enter and see what comes up in Google. If anybody has written an article on it, you should not write this article for a brand new site. Even if you can write a better article. I mean, if somebody wrote 1500 words and it makes sense and it actually answers the intent behind this topic, you should not go for it. You need to keep digging until you find a list of 10 or 15 or 20 articles. Then you know you have a good list to start a website off of. If you can find 15 or 20 topics to write on that hasn't been written well by another website so far, and you're using the techniques that I'm showing you in this video, you have a good niche and you should totally go for it. And if somebody has written an article on it already and you think you can do a much better job, make sure to double the word count and don't add any fluff. Don't just write for writing's sake, you know, write the best content. It's about writing good content, not long content. You need to match the intent of the user and make sure that you're hitting it 100%. And include some tables or charts and break up the sentences so it's easy to read and just produce a much better article. I have a lot of videos on this channel about how to write great content, so stay tuned if you want to learn more about that. Forgetting to check the competition before you start writing your articles is one of these pitfalls that I warned you about in the beginning of this video. Something else that can totally ruin your topic research is if you're using Google outside the United States. You need to target an American audience. So if you're not in the States, let's say you're sitting in France or in Sweden or in India, you need to use a VPN. I'm using ExpressVPN and Surfshark. They're two really good VPNs that I use all the time. I have some good deals for you, especially for Surfshark. I've gotten a discount, so if you're using my affiliate link that I put in the description here, and it's also on my tools page on my website, you can get it for around $2 or $3 per month. That's really cheap, and you absolutely need to target American traffic and American searches. It doesn't matter if we're talking about affiliate or premium ads, there's just much more money in American traffic. There's much more to this, of course, than what I can cram into this video here. I'm building a course with a lot of over-the-shoulder videos, a lot of training, and I'm teaching you much more about these techniques and many other things. It will save you a ton of time and a ton of money if you're out building your own passive income streams online. I was just so fed up with courses by people who are teaching other people how to make money by building their own website about how to make money. I build real websites in real niches that are not about how to make money, you know. If you want to know when the course comes out, just subscribe to this YouTube channel and join my email list. My website is here and you can find the email list on my website. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. I'll see you guys next time.